Hi, and welcome to the recording of the Polite Society podcast. We haven't done our opening yet, but I want to mention our advertisers. That's ABN, Concealment Solutions, Firearms Safety Institute, and the New Jersey Second Amendment Society. Gary, are you familiar with the live page of Polite Society podcast?
Yes.
Okay. Would you go there? Rachel, will you take YouTube?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, cool. Gary, in theory, everybody grabs stories during the week, throws them on the staff page, goes, ooh, I like that, and then we'll drop them into show notes. Given the amount of time we have, that's not been working so well. So
Uh-oh.
So what we'll do is read through a segment and discuss each news article. Gary, let me get a mic check from you.
Okay, I'm here.
Talk a little more.
Talking a little bit more. Just trying to get my page back up. I lost my video.
Okay, Rachel?
Yes, can you hear me? Does this work? Keep
John.
talking. You got it.
Here I am. Do you need more?
John, do Rachel and I sound about the same?
Yes.
Okay, then we're as balanced as we're going to get.
All right.
All right. Are we ready to... Gary Harpster isn't with us, so I'm going to put Gary Doherty in there instead. How's that?
Sounds good to me. Let me scroll up and find it.
Gary, spell your last name.
Daughgerty.
Okay, see where we are up at the top?
On the live page?
No,
Oh, no.
on the show notes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I printed them out. Did you change some stuff already?
Oh yeah. So
All right.
do you know how to do? Yeah.
That's
Are you
okay.
used to
access
Google Docs? Do you know how to get to them?
Give me a
If
second.
you're in the
Yep.
If you're in the Google Hangout, you can access them through that by the little Google Drive icon on the left
Oh,
side.
there you go. You guys are so clever. I've forgotten about that since it doesn't work
Yeah.
for me.
Okay.
Hey, Susan. As soon as we're all on the same page, let's start.
Okay. I'm here. Ready.
Okay.
5 of silence, and then we'll start. Welcome to the Polite Society podcast, recorded live on Wednesday, June 18th, 2014. I'm Rob Morse.
I think Rachel has frozen up.
I hate it when that happens. Rachel. What an odd time to have her leave. So I guess we'll wait a minute till she quits and comes back. Well, in that case, I'm going to read through it and see if there's anything else we need to add. Hey, Gary.
Hey, what?
Do you use CERT guns in your training?
I do not.
Okay.
They just introduced them to us at the NRA meeting, so it might
Yeah. Did you just get a cert, Rob?
I get it tomorrow night.
Which kind?
Green and red.
Are you getting the Glock one or the M&P?
Glock.
Yeah. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for the M&P, and I've actually played with a prototype at the NRA meeting. Supposedly they've been talking about it for about 3 years now.
A new version?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I
just
use
not
the
a
laser light system for my own practice, but not in class. Oh, there she goes.
So we're waiting for Rachel to jump back in, huh?
Mhm.
Wind up the Texas hamster and come join us. Sometimes she has the nickname for Appleseed of Bullet, John, or Gary. So sometimes we'll call her that.
I understand. I'm a fan of the show.
Okay.
So what part of Illinois are you in, Gary?
I'm about halfway between Rockford and Chicago on 90, so kind
Yeah.
of
So you're west of Chicago then.
Yep.
west of Chicago.
Okay.
Rachel, have you joined us? Rachel,
I'm back. Sorry about that.
I thought your timing was perfect.
Yeah. I'm ditching y'all. Yeah.
Okay, shall we try again?
Yes, let me make sure I have my show notes. Okay, let's go. I'm ready. If y'all are ready.
Now we got to find 5 of silence. Welcome to the Polite Society podcast, recorded live on Wednesday, June 18th, 2014. I'm Rob Morse.
I'm Rachel Malone, and on tonight's show, we have an interview with firearms trainer and author David Cole.
I'm John Richardson, and we'll talk about self-defense news.
We have another tips and tricks segment with Talia Mueller.
I'm Gary Doherty, and we have our weekly stories of defensive gun use.
So climb aboard.
Strap in.
And hang on. Episode 245 of the Polite Society podcast starts right now. Okay, John, bring us back. Gary, do you want to jump in and talk in this segment?
Sure.
And why don't we let Gary go first, but I'll bring us back.
Well, why don't we introduce? Okay, I'll pull him in and introduce Gary. Okay.
Okay.
Hi and welcome back. We have the usual crew. We're missing Gary Harpster, and we've got Gary Doherty. Gary's a trainer in Illinois. He's also a sponsor of the program. Gary, you know the format. You've listened to the show. What have you done with guns? Now, we need to narrow that. Normally we say since the last episode, but since you haven't been with us, how about you give them a little bio?
A little bit of bio. I grew up in Illinois. I moved to Vegas, Las Vegas for a little while. Got into concealed carrying there. And when I got back to Illinois, I was looking for additional training and found on the NRA website about becoming an instructor. So I decided to add that so I could share my knowledge with more people, and I've been doing that for a couple of years now and love it. Just focusing on safety first and having fun from there on. This week, I dry fire every week, and right now I've got a Thursday class going on, so I'll be teaching tomorrow.
What do they call it? Is it called CHL? How do they?
FCCL, Firearms Concealed Carry License.
Concealed Carry License in Illinois. Okay.
Right. They put firearm first because they wanted to differentiate between a lot of other permits include other weapons.
Ah, okay.
So they put firearms in front of it.
John, how about you?
With regard to firearms, my usual nothing.
Ah, you
I've been
haven't
traveling
no
and
bought,
working.
no bought, no sold, no surveyed, nothing?
No, but I will be posting on my blog a great billboard I saw today from a store down in Georgia called McKaysville Drug and Gun. A
That's like
drugstore
ATF, that's like alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, right?
darn right. So, but however, I did want to say, and this is going to be in the show notes as well, I just read something just before the show that scares me. It seems that Michael Bloomberg and his money is buying calls to Congress, demanding background checks. And this is kind of what you do when you don't have a real grassroots. The NRA ILA is concerned about this and is asking that the real grassroots, that is, you and me, to either write or call Congress. You can call at 202-225-3121 to get your senator or congressman. However, even quicker is just going to the link on the NRA's Write Your Reps page, and then we will have that link in the show notes. I say consider this your 90 seconds of activism to save a lifetime of gun rights, because that literally is how long it took me to send emails to all my national representatives. 90 seconds. And that's because I was typing slow.
Good for
And
you,
you could
John.
you could do it in 60 seconds. It's that easy. It's that, like I said, it's that easy.
The Firearms Policy Coalition has a similar page, and for California gun laws, I go there all the time. So it's worth the effort.
Yeah, and it seems like, when you're buying enough calls, Congress might start to pay attention.
Oh, yeah, isn't that scary?
I think it's like $5 a call he's paying.
Yeah, when you do things the upright way, it kind of takes more work, more people involved, but boy, it's worth it.
Absolutely. So how about you, Rob?
I ordered a training firearm. It doesn't fire projectiles. It's called a SIRT gun. Think of it as a blue gun on steroids. It's a laser. Basically, it's a laser pointer wrapped in the shape of a Glock. It's a great training tool, particularly for my friends with a flinch, because there are two lasers. As soon as they touch the trigger and start to take up the slack, a pointer comes on and it points below the point of aim. So if you've got the sights lined up, you never see that. But
nice.
I shoot with a buddy that has under flinch in the dictionary. There's a picture of him holding a gun. We've thought about deliberately putting his sights up and to the right because he pulls low and left so bad. So I wanted just to get something that would help new students train so they wouldn't ingrain bad habits. I get to pick that up tomorrow night. I also ordered more holsters and mag pouches from Overwatch Holsters. It's a buddy I know in the area, and I get to pick that up tomorrow night too.
That's cool.
Rachel, when I was going through my gun closet here, I wondered, and maybe this is the wrong time to ask. If you want, we can put it off. What gun do you run for Appleseed?
Oh, this is a great time for it. It's nothing fancy. It's actually the first rifle that I ever bought, and honestly, I think it's the first rifle I ever shot, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Ruger, just a plain Ruger 1022. I'm really glad I did my research well and got a good one the first time around. And a lot of people do add extreme modifications to their 1022s, even just for Appleseed. All I did was to add sling swivels, so I can put my sling on.
Mm-hmm.
Just put a real cheap $12 GI Web sling on, and I don't like the stock sights that come on a Ruger 1022, so I feel like you have to replace them with something. I took the cheapest solution, and I just put on a super cheap Simmons 22 mag scope, and that's all that I've done so far. I made riflemen on that rifle, and probably a half dozen of my friends have used it to score riflemen. So hey, I think it's a keeper.
What's the magnification on that scope?
It is It's a fixed 4-power scope.
Yeah. Okay.
They also have them 3 to 9, I think. I just got the fixed one.
Sure.
So yeah, that's my rifle. As far as my gun activity, I actually got to go shooting yesterday. Some gunpowder and lead. And my neighbor called me up and asked if I wanted to come over and try out some guns his friend brought over. So naturally, I said yes. We tried out a couple of oddball pistols, some weird Serbian something. It worked out fine. Just kind of looked a little weird. Anyway, and then I don't know. The main reason we were there is to play with his new setup of his AR. So that was definitely a lot of fun. But something that struck me when we were shooting the pistols, we all had decent groups, but we weren't completely satisfied with them, and so we said, hey, let me do a little bit of dry fire. So we were all passing the guns around, just dry firing, and we're there at the range. I thought, I'm really shooting with the right people. Because they're training minded. So we were going out there just for fun, and I think we all came back having learned something important and learned some new skills and improved our skills.
That's good. That's a great mindset.
We have a tips and tricks segment from Talia Mueller later in the show. We didn't even mention it in the opening. She talked about, she's a professional shooter now, and she talked about putting in an hour an evening for 6 months to become to work her way up the ranks to turn pro.
Nice.
Yeah, and I figured that, if you're going to turn pro, that's the practice you put in.
Right. As a musician, to me that sounds like a pathetically small amount of time to put in to be able to become a pro. I mean, as a musician, you do probably 3 to 4 hours a day for 10 years. So that's a very small price to pay to become a pro.
What that proves is that the musical market is more competitive than the pro shooters, I guess.
This is true.
Wow.
Yep.
Makes me glad I have a day job that doesn't involve shooting or music. We're going to take a break. We have an advertisement coming up from ABN. Then we'll go into our news segment. Okay.
But Rob, it's like all my students always ask me, will there be any math in this? Your day job.
Yeah, the nuclear engineering sort of shook off all the guys that were math phobic. Yeah. Okay. Are we all allotted through here? Anything we want to? Additions, corrections, deletions?
It looks like you have most of the news items. Did you want to continue doing that, or
you know what? I'm going to keep doing it because I would like you guys to write some in.
He wrote them. He gets them.
Go right ahead.
Write them, I read them.
Told you that last week.
Gary, I gave you the gun quote of the week. Did you see it?
It's at the end of segment 2, right? Yeah.
Just before the DGUs.
Got it.
Okay. I thought we should mention it before. Oh, Gary.
No, I'm following along. I'm
yeah, you'd see it.
Okay.
Is it okay if I just jump in with comments, or?
No. Is it okay? It's required.
Okay.
Please do. Yeah. We want your thoughts.
The magic is, in theory, the reason we have this Google Hangout is so that somebody's there going, me, I want to talk. Yeah, that'll look good on YouTube. Okay. 5 seconds. Here we go. Hi, and welcome back. We make fun of the news media pretty often, so we have to give a shout out when a paper finally gets it right, even if it's the campus paper at the University of Texas at Austin. Hey, Rachel, isn't that pretty much your backyard?
Yep, it sure is. Never would have guessed it.
Yeah, well, okay. We won't. Never mind. We won't make fun of the University of Austin right just yet, because they pointed out that gun-free zones fail time and again. I mean, gun-free zones fail to the point that they're really murder magnets. This article in a campus paper points out that all the gun-free zones do is disarm honest concealed weapons carriers. It points out that concealed handgun license holders are extremely safe and law-abiding. Let's face it, we're a bunch of Boy Scouts. They mentioned that many lives are saved when citizens respond quickly rather than waiting minutes for the police to stop a murderer. Now, isn't the mascot of UT Austin called Bevo the steer or something like that?
Absolutely, it's Bevo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't got that figured out, but good job, Bevo.
You know, okay, I just have to say this. Hearing you read the story is bringing back really vivid memories of last year, March 14th, 2013. It was my second time to testify. I was at the Capitol in a hearing room for at least 8 hours, maybe longer, I'm not sure how long. And most of the time there, I was listening to UT Austin professors talk about how horrible it would be if we allowed CHL carry on campus. So I tell you what, I'm going to print this article up, and next year, if we have another one of those events, I'm going to pass it out to everyone.
They'll probably just say, well, that's a student, not me,
probably.
who is a professor.
That's right.
Yeah, John, don't you had a similar situation at your campus, right?
Yeah. They tried to get all the police officers of all the constituent institutions of the University of North Carolina, plus all the chancellors were, jumping up and down. The fact that we could even have a firearm locked in our cars. No,
That's because you professors are just suppressed violent types. I knew it.
Well, what can I say? But yeah, in basic, I remember I think it was an English professor who I did a blog post about, he says, if they pass this, I am just going to stop teaching. I'm like, I'm going to leave the university. I'm like, how stupid is that? How childish. Yeah, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's tremendously bigoted. If you look at our record, we are more law-abiding than lawyers, judges, or police officers, and you want to slander us as a class? Oh, come on.
Right.
Well, it's like
Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was going to say, it's like my friend Sean says, if you want to date my daughter, you better have a concealed carry license, because it proves that that you're not a felon, that we have everything has been cleared about your background.
Right.
Come to think of it, that is the ultimate daughter test, isn't it?
Huh.
Let me see your CHL license before you can date her. That way I know your fingerprints are on file.
There you go.
I can
And
find you.
And you haven't been convicted of domestic violence either.
Right. I can find you, son. All right, back to making fun of the media and their biases.
Yes.
We talked about it last episode, the two murderers who recently shot 2 police officers and a civilian in Las Vegas. They were first described as right-wing crazies. Well, it turns out they were tossed out of the Bundy Ranch near Las Vegas. What do they call it? Oath Keepers evidently has some standards. And this is right. The people at the ranch wouldn't take these guys even as volunteers. Now, when people did some digging, they found out that this pair of murderers were actually photographed back in Indiana at the Million Mask March for Occupy Wall Street. These murderers were crazy in a number of ways, but they are not the Tea Party patriots the media wanted them to be.
Well, the Occupy movement had very low standards for crazy.
Yeah, and journalists had very low standards for selling a story they wanted to print.
Yeah.
Can I just point something out as an instructor?
Please.
There's a horrible situation for that, but whenever you're in a situation, be aware of your surroundings. It's usually never just one bad guy. Keep your eyes open. Don't go running in blind.
We're taught that, and if it were easy, it is so. I mean, Gary, do you shoot competitively at all?
I do.
Okay, I find that I get target fixated after my last shot. I stare at the target and I have to go, oh yeah, scan, and just to keep pounding that habit in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really good habit to get into. Scanning the area when you're competing.
Yes.
Yeah, I was so fortunate that the very first tactical class I took, one of the very first things my instructors did was ingrain that in each one of us through different drills. And to this day, I still have the habit every time when I'm shooting, whether it's at a target or competitively or at the range, whatever, I'll scan and breathe, to the point that I was actually filming a promo video where I was the shooter, and the director didn't like the way it looked for me to scan and breathe. He wanted me to just focus the target. I literally could not make myself sit there and look at the target. I tried 3 times and he finally gave up. So that's how well that habit was ingrained, and I'm so glad that somebody thought to teach that to me.
You know, I think I need to go back for more training, because there was a time after my last shot I would hear my instructor yelling at me, scan! And that's fading now, so maybe I have to incorporate it into my dry practice.
Yeah.
Or just go take another course.
Mhm.
Yep, absolutely.
This next news item is kind of fun. Oh my God! There's a man outside with a gun. There are more of them. It's a whole crowd, and they're all armed, women and children too.
Well, Rob, you're seeing right. There were 85 gun owners and their families gathered for an open carry picnic at Detroit's Milliken State Park last Saturday. It was a pretty normal picnic, complete with hot dogs and drinks, except that the picnickers were openly carrying loaded sidearms. Dave Dellinger, a board member with Michigan Gun Owners, urged those at the picnic to call their legislators to change the laws limiting guns. This particular event was focused on the evils and tragedies of gun-free zones.
Rachel, would you read the next segment too?
Absolutely. Some of the quotes from the picnickers. One person said, "We need to get rid of pistol-free zones. The first place a criminal is going to go is where they know there won't be any guns." Duh. I mean, who would think otherwise, and yet we have these gun-free zones. Another picnicker said, "We are everyday people. Every time somebody responsibly open carries in public, you keep chipping away at all the lies from the other side." I've got to agree with that. I think the people who are responsibly open carrying, sure, they get people, raising an eyebrow. They'll may even get the NRA coming down on them. You never know. But they're out there doing that, chipping away at the lies by their honorable, responsible behavior, and I appreciate those who do that.
Gary, John, have you guys ever open carried?
Yes. It's
Not
legal
a
in
fan.
North Carolina.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
It's legal in North Carolina. I've open carried a few times, not a lot.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like with Gary, not a fan, in the sense that I just want to make it's concealed for a reason.
Right. Yeah. The only times I've done it, it was with a group. It was more a political or a social statement than it was a tactical statement.
Right, and that's fine. When I was at the NRA convention in Indianapolis, lots of open carriers. And my first thought was, this is more of a barbecue gun type of situation than actually their regular everyday carry. But it just concerned me that so many people were running around with open holsters. If you're going to be open carrying, get a retention holster. Mass talks about it in Meg 40. There was a situation, someone was goofing around. It's just, if you're going to be open carrying, at least get some good retention on it.
Yep.
Yeah, I found a good retention holster that I'm wearing it right now, actually. I really like it.
Yeah, the notion of being in a crowd with an open carry, open top holster like I'd use for competition, kind of makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
Gary, as a trainer, are there any retention holsters that you truly recommend?
I'm a concealed carrier. I don't train with them. I don't practice with them. I tell my students that if they're going to get into that, that's an extra level of training that they have to add to their training regimen, because it's different. It's more detailed. Particularly like these Serpa holsters with that button, the gun can get trapped in there, and it's just extra training you have to do. I'm mostly an inside the waistband guy.
Okay. Yeah, I have a Serpa, but I don't use it that often.
Because you have to push against the side of the holster, there's some training academies that don't like them. They've just seen the accident rate go up.
Absolutely.
Now, can they be used? Obviously, they can be used safely, but it just requires a greater familiarity and a more consistent training regime to do it safely.
Mm-hmm. Well, in our next story, as of last Friday, Mark Glaze has left his post as the executive director with MAIG, Mayors Against Illegal Guns. He admitted to the Wall Street Journal that their gun control proposals would not have prevented mass shootings in the past, mass murders, and the proposals would not stop mass shootings or murders in the future. Their goal of their statements is to be in the public eye during a time of emotional loss and to insist that we have to do something or else we don't care about the lives of children. Any comments?
Well, it's just not true. We do care, and the stuff that they're proposing isn't going to stop anything. It's only going to make it harder for us to be more safe for ourselves and our families. So we're not against getting guns away from criminals, but not at the loss of our rights.
Exactly right. I think if crimes with guns in most states, in most places, are more urban-oriented, certainly related to drugs and or gangs, not just Joe Everyday or Joanne Everyday.
I was reading some of the the media guide that the gun grabbers accidentally put out, and they were very clear about wanting to appear in the public spotlight after a mass murder, call it a tragedy, form an emotional connection with the audience. That keeps viewers' eyes on the TV screen, that delivers viewers' eyes to advertisers, and therefore the media will call them back. And it's cheap. It's a cheap PR bit. They basically say, "Oh, you have to do something useless, or you're a hater."
Yeah, absolutely, 100% right.
Let's go on to the next article before I get upset at those guys anymore. On to Colorado. Governor John Hickenlooper says he's offering an apology to the sheriffs of Colorado. The governor said that his staff made a mistake in overlooking the sheriff's concern about Colorado's new gun laws. Governor Hickenlooper said he misunderstood the public backlash at having laws rammed through the legislature overnight. Yeah, Governor Hickenlooper also said that he wasn't in contact with billionaire Bloomberg or with the Obama administration about the new gun laws. In all my classes, I was told that you should never lie to lawmen that they know a liar when they hear one? That's part of their job? Well, the governor deliberately ignored the sheriff's legislative testimony opposing the new Colorado gun laws. The governor and state attorney both worked against the lawsuit brought by the sheriffs to stop these gun laws because the sheriffs said they're unconstitutional. Despite denials from his press secretary, there are phone records showing that multiple calls went between, well, if not the president, then the White House, and if not the governor, then the governor's staff. Same with Bloomberg and the New York mayor and the governor's staff.
Oh, but Rob, the whole issue of being able to get reelected and reestablishing yourself is so important. You just got to overlook everything else for a minute,
I thought Bloomberg's money was enough to buy you whatever you needed once you were taking
that's a
his
good
money.
point. Maybe it didn't work quite so well.
Evidently not.
Well, what I had heard today from somebody in Colorado was that Bloomberg, in exchange, would have financed Hickenlooper's presidential exploration.
Oh, it wasn't for the mayor's office or the governor's office. It was for president.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old George Soros routine.
I'm a moderate Democrat. I'm pro-business. Yeah.
Huh.
How many businesses have left the state now?
Right. Magpul's well gone. So you think it's just, this is the 18-month reapproachment. I can say anything, and the citizens of Colorado have gone to sleep, and they'll buy it.
Unfortunately, that works far too often.
Yeah. We'll see whether it works in Colorado.
I don't know.
Okay, we've got a similar situation. Another anti-gun politician, State Senator Ginny Burdick, a Democrat from Portland, Oregon. She proposed a bill making parents criminally liable for crimes committed by their children using their parents' firearms. Well, there are already laws, but the existing laws require the state to show negligence on the part of adults. This bill would put the burden on the parents. So it's pretty much a lawyer's dream come true. It really overturns some aspects of the castle doctrine if a minor's involved. For example, can the criminal's next of kin sue you if your 19-year-old daughter was defending herself using your firearm in her home? There are all kinds of problems with this legislation. Well, okay, the public wasn't very fond of it. They saw some of the problems. Senator Burdick then blamed the unfavorable public response to her bill on the NRA.
Got to blame somebody.
As much as I hate Texas gun laws and I make, I'm trying to fix it, but they're pretty bad right now. I've got to say, Texas kind of has it made here. We're doing pretty well in this one little area. For youth, yes, there are penalties and liability on a parent or an adult whose child gets possession of a firearm and uses it, particularly if they use it and cause harm to someone else. However, it's pretty clearly stated if they use it in self-defense, that is a defense against prosecution. So there's that safeguard there. So the moral of the story for me is, parents, you better make sure you teach your kids how to safely handle firearms, how to safely use them if they need to.
Rachel, is the defense for both criminal and civil prosecution?
I believe so. I'd have to look up the exact statute, but I believe so. Wait, hang on. No. It would be for criminal. Because civil is a completely different matter.
Well, there are some places that say, and that's really the basis of the Castle Doctrine, is that if you're defending yourself from an assault, the victim, if they live, can't then turn around and sue you for civil penalties.
That's what we had passed in North Carolina within the last few years.
Yep. And
we had a case in eastern North Carolina. I think it was a 14-year-old boy, home invaders protecting his sister, killed at least one of the intruders. Certainly no charges were brought. And the intruder's family, who I refuse to call a victim, they are not allowed to sue in civil court for any damages.
Okay. Good. Hooray for North Carolina.
Even though some people call us the California of the South.
I'm sorry. Living out here on the left coast, that's a slander.
Well, yeah.
Believe it or not, that's the law here in Illinois.
How does it go, Gary?
A self-defense gun use in your home, you cannot be sued by the criminal or the criminal's family. I don't think that stops them from trying to sue, but that is the law. Believe it or not, it's been around for quite a while here in Illinois.
Now, that's the black letter law. What's the case record or the judicial record? Is it widely upheld, or will you occasionally get a goofy judge?
I am not familiar with the case law. I have not seen any cases recently. It's kind of not mentioned, believe it or not, but it is a surprisingly good law for Illinois.
Yeah. Well, proving that even Illinois isn't a complete loss for gun rights.
It is.
Thank goodness.
I mean, you get outside Cook County and the surrounding counties, and Illinois is really good for guns, it's gun friendly. And I say this because until this past fall, Barb's parents had a house in O'Fallon outside of St. Louis. Great gun stores, couldn't touch anything because I didn't have a FOID card, but it was a very pro-gun area. Gun shows, hunting, shooting clubs, everything.
Right. But that's not where the laws come from, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can get a couple million more people downstate, and that'll change it.
Yeah. Well, we're tracing all the jobs out of the whole state, so that's not going to happen.
That's hard to do too.
Yeah.
Any more on that one?
Gary, I think we have a gun quote. Would you read it off?
You betcha. Here it is. It's from an unlikely source. It begins, "I know the sense of helplessness that people feel. I know the urge to arm yourself because that's what I did. I was trained in firearms. I'd walk into the hospital when my husband was sick. I carried a concealed weapon. I made a determination that if somebody was going to try to take me out, I was going to take them with me." This is from the U.S. Senator from California, Dianne Feinstein, speaking on April 27, 1995, after Massad Ayoob outed her for her concealed carry permit.
My. Our crazy senator is two-faced even more than I already thought.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. She had, I know Paul went. Rob, you didn't go to Mag 40, correct?
No, I didn't.
Okay, John, have you been to it yet?
I have not, but one of these years I'm going sooner than later.
I'm glad you're planning on it because it's an amazing 4 days. But he talked about it in the class, and when he outed her for having a concealed carry permit, she had 2 revolvers, and she took one and had it melted into a cross and gave it to a religious person in California. I'm not familiar who, but still has the fancy one.
Kept the other one.
Kept the other one, exactly.
She may be dishonest, but she's not stupid.
There you go.
Hang on, everyone. We'll be right back after this advertisement with Concealment Solutions. We have an interview with Dave Cole. Rachel and I took part in it. I thought it was fascinating. I think you will too. Hey, Rachel?
Nope.
She fell off again. There was one part where she... did she fall or was she pushed? Okay. Gary, there is a bit of magic in the podcast. The software that we use to compress the audio automatically eliminates silence.
Oh. Okay.
So if when those little oopses when were you going to talk about, as long as you don't sit there and go editing becomes trivial. It will just automatically cut them out. There's the maximum length of silence it allows.
Cool.
So if you want to say something and right in the middle of it stop, you can literally sit there for 2 minutes and get organized, and poof, that's all going to go away. Now that doesn't mean that John and I won't jump in and steal it, but
well, I mean that's how I think anyway. So.
Hey, Rachel?
Yes.
There was a place in there where you had something to say and you didn't, so I did, and I assume you had computer problems again?
Yes, I was out for quite a little while. I'm back now. We'll see how long it holds.
Is this your the rest of your roommates there are downloading movies on you or something? Oh, she's gone again. Oh, poof. I met a girl who wasn't there.
She keeps getting knocked out right when it's her turn to talk.
It's yes. Okay.
What?
Hey, Gary, there's a place here where we had Rachel make a comment. If she can't, I'd like you to do it. Obviously, you'd have to do it differently than she would.
I can do a sweet Southern voice.
Well,
there she is.
I'm here right now. If I don't pop in, just go ahead, go for it.
Okay, I'll bring us back. Rachel, do you remember that interview that we did with Dave yesterday?
Yes, I do.
You have any more comments you want to make?
I could come up with something. It was a great interview.
Okay, I'll bring us back and make some comments. You make some comments, then we'll go into DGUs.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, and welcome back. You know, talking with Dave is always fascinating. We had him for the tips and tricks segments before, but being an instructor, he's really thought about whether training should be mandatory or voluntary, and wow, it's just something I hadn't considered that much.
Yeah, I really appreciated the way that he distinguished between what is good and right and what we should encourage people to do. And, because it's good and right, does that mean we should have it mandated? Should we give the government authority to require it? And he said no, because it's our right. So I appreciate him distinguishing those two things there.
Yeah, the difference between what's good and appropriate and what's required.
Yeah.
And I still keep arguing that there are people you're going to push out of training once you or push out of concealed carrying once you regulate it, and that those people bear the costs that we won't really see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're in our DGU segment, and as always, you can do everything right and still need help. A young man posted his old cell phone for sale on Craigslist. He then did the right thing. He agreed to meet the buyer in a public place, well, like the Stroud Mall in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Good, let's meet in broad daylight where other people are present. So he chose 3 in the afternoon, right outside the JCPenney Mall entrance. 2 men arrived, pretended to be buyers. They examined the phone and then tased the seller. He was on his back, looking up and out of the fight instantly. That's when a legally armed mall employee who saw the robbery drew his firearm and stopped the robbery cold. The thieves dropped the cell phone and ran.
if you can't be armed, the next best thing is to have friends with guns, somebody looking out after you.
I think that's probably true even if you are armed, right?
True.
Absolutely.
If this guy was armed and not preparing to be tased because, here with these people around, I was reading the article. The firearm holder didn't want to be identified because some stores in the mall didn't approve of concealed carry.
The store he worked at, right?
He didn't say. Did he? When I read it, the guy was being a little cagey because he goes, "I just don't want to out myself because it'll cause me more issues than I want to solve."
Okay. I may have read something different on that.
So you think it was the store where he worked?
I think he said that the store where he worked did not allow employees to conceal carry while on duty, so he was not comfortable, and that's why they were hiding his face and hiding his name. That's what they said on the news.
Okay. We should call this Nick's DGU the, quote, "Don't worry, we're professionals and we've got this covered." Well, it starts when 4 men broke into a home in Port Richey, Florida. As usual, they were looking for money and drugs and beat up 2 of the women in the home. The man in the home called 911 after the robbers left. And while being transferred to the police, he was mistakenly sent to voicemail. Well, bad victim selection. The robbers weren't satisfied and they returned a few minutes later. This time, the homeowner was ready, he was armed, and he shot them. As for the robbers, 3 of them have been caught, including the guy who was shot by the homeowner.
Your call is very important to us. Please remain on the line for the next representative to handle your call.
Yeah, that would get me all wound up.
Yeah.
Well, think of it. Isn't that what that's what my sheriff says to me in a may-issue county in California?
Well, some people in rural districts, it's always a voicemail at night because they don't have people manning those calls.
Right. I was just reading about a California town. It's facing bankruptcy for the 2nd time. I think they cut their police force by 2/3. They're looking at eliminating it and just using the county sheriffs. Yeah, response time. Here, hang on for 12 minutes. We'll be right over.
Yeah.
There is, the Nick's DGU is an example of fortitude. A 73-year young grandfather saw a car drive into his front yard just after midnight. He pretty much knew it didn't belong there, so he grabbed his shotgun and walked outside. By the time he got outside, he heard the strangers already inside his daughter's house next door, so he immediately called 911. He waited outside near their car, and when the robbers returned, he told them to stop and that the police were on their way. That's when they shot him in the face. If you look at the news article, there's this old man wearing overalls with a Band-Aid on his cheek. So this is a tough old man. It's the 72-year-old returned fire with a shotgun, hitting one of the intruders in the legs. The 2 thieves fled into the nearby woods. Grandpa wasn't done. He waited. He then tackled one of the thieves and held him for police when the young man tried to sneak back to get his car. Police arrested Clyde Webster, age 21, and Tyler Trivett, age 23. The 2 men faced several theft, assault, and drug charges for both this burglary as one in a nearby county. The granddaughter who lives next door said that Grandpa was always a hero, but now everyone knows about him too. Unfortunately, the thieves took several guns, a knife, and a hatchet, so they're still waiting to get those articles back.
Well, I'm seeing that this is actually from East Tennessee, and Cott County adjoins the county that I live in.
Oh, really?
It's just on the other side of the Smokies. And sometimes you just don't mess around with people in East Tennessee. Just plain.
Pretty self-reliant.
Well, they were what were called the Over Mountain Boys. They were the ones who crossed the mountain, went down to Kings Mountain, and beat the King's men.
Oh,
in the Revolution.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, this next DGU, John, was that you or Rachel?
I think it's me.
Okay.
Jose Padilla, owner of La Playita taco stand in Linwood, California, was closing up shop when 3 masked gunmen suddenly came on the scene, pushing their way through the family members and employees who were present. Some reports state Padilla may have been followed after he closed his other restaurant. When the gunman opened fire, he grabbed his .38 caliber pistol and responded. As his daughter Miriam later stated through her tears, "He's like me. We don't go down without a fight." Shot at least 10 times, unfortunately Padilla was pronounced dead at the hospital, but all his family members survived.
You know, California has a magazine capacity limit. You're up against 3 guys. Tell me, how many rounds do you need?
Enough to stop 3 guys.
Enough to stop 3 guys. So let me get this safe. We're all going to be safer, according to the California legislature, if we disarm and put the honest people at a disadvantage compared to the thugs. You know, a guy ended up dead because of that.
Yep.
What are the rules in Illinois, Gary?
When they enacted the concealed carry law, they restricted all handgun laws regarding magazine capacity. Anything to do with the regulation of handguns is no longer valid. It's all written into the thing, which does not have any magazine capacities.
Oh.
However, they left in place the Cook County and Chicago long gun magazine bans of 10 and 15 rounds. So.
Okay.
I mean, that was kind of like the thing they had to do, wasn't it? To leave Cook County alone so they could get the bill passed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why they left out public transportation, trains and buses, and the L. There's no concealed carry allowed.
Gotcha.
So they did a lot of things to appease them.
Yeah.
And their not misunderstanding ways.
We have links to each of our news and defensive gun use articles. It's at the PoliteSocietyPodcast.com. They're there if you want to share them with a friend. We think they're very interesting. We go back and refer to our old shows. I hope you do too. We'll be right back after this advertisement from the New Jersey Second Amendment Society. We have a tips and tricks segment with Talia Mueller. Well, it won't be Paul. Rachel, are you with us again? Gary, I'm writing you in. You see it?
Yep. I got nobody on the live chat. It says, well, now there's only one person. There was 2 people here, and I assume one of them was me, but no action on the website.
I'm sorry, Rachel.
Oh, there she goes again.
Okay. Let's do it, and as soon as she jumps back in, we'll let her read.
Okay.
Yeah. Bing bong bing. You guys remember the old IRC chat rooms? Did you guys ever do that 10 years ago? Join the chat group. Left the chat group. Join it. Yeah, that's Rachel. Ping pong. Okay. Gary, bring us back and
okay.
Start the close.
Are we coming back? Oh, no email?
We didn't have any.
Okay. So we're coming back from the NJ2S segment?
The Polite Society download apps.
Oh, we're going straight to that?
Yep.
Okay. 5 seconds, and the Polite Society download app is available on Amazon for Android, and the iPhone app is available on iTunes, and it's called Podcast Box. They are located by our old name, Politics and Guns. Hot links are in our show notes.
We're experimenting with the show all the time. Please send us an email to tell us what you like or dislike. You can contact the show by email. Email at onair@politicsandguns.com to hear your email read on the air. If you would like to email any of the hosts directly, just email their first name and then add politicsandguns.com. Call 605-215-1438 to hear your voice on the air.
That's 605-215-1438. Now, we did get one comment. Someone said they thought the program sounded a little scratchy, like our microphones weren't quite up to snuff. We appreciate the comment. We're working on it every week to get better. Also, please check out Kathy Jackson's Cornered Cat training classes. Her next class, that still has seats available, is the weekend of July 12th and 13th in Walla Walla, Washington. Go to the corneredcat.com website for more of her classes and details.
John, anything new to mention off your blog?
Well, I did a post yesterday regarding Hillary Clinton saying in a town hall meeting, in effect, that you and I are terrorists and that we are advocating for the Second Amendment. She said, and I quote, "We cannot let a minority of people," and that's what it is, it's a minority of people, hold a viewpoint that terrorizes a majority of people. By her statement, she proves that she not only hates the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment as well.
And we now have thought crime.
Thought crime, yes.
Interesting. Well, fellow terrorists, join the club.
Yeah.
I'm in good company. I appreciate seeing you on this side of the line. Please check out the Shooters Club by Bob Main and Ben Branham. For $75 a year, that's all of $6.25 a month, you get 24/7 access to some fantastic training and audio podcasts, materials you can't get anywhere else. Bob's also giving away his M&P Shield to one lucky member. There are lots of other prizes as well. You have more than one chance to win, and the drawing is coming up at the end of June.
Listen to other podcasts on the Crusader Podcast Network. We are pleased to announce that we are members of the Gun Rights Network.
Join the National Rifle Association, Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America, and Jews for the Preservation of Firearm Ownership. Joining 2 makes you a hero. Supporting all 4 makes you a superhero.
Please join your local civil rights group. Examples are the New Jersey Second Amendment Society, Arizona Citizens Defense League, Gun Owners of California, Commonwealth Second Amendment, Connecticut Citizens Defense League, Florida Carry, Georgia Carry, Georgia Gun Owners, Grassroots North Carolina, Illinois Carry, Maryland Shall Issue, Michigan Gun Owners, Michigan Open Carry, and the Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners.
There are Minnesota Gun Owners Civil Rights Alliance, Nebraska Firearms Owners Association, Citizens for a Safer New Jersey, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Open Carry Texas, Texas Firearms Freedom, Texas State Rifle Association, Tennessee Firearms Association, Virginia Citizens Defense League, Virginia Open Carry, West Virginia Citizens Defense League, and Wyoming Gun Owners. Remember, if your state or local organization isn't read each episode, then send us an email and we'll add them.
For our Canadian listeners and their supporters, join the Canadian Shooting Sports Association and the Canadian National Firearms Association.
Until we find the billionaires for liberty, you and I have to fund Dr. John Lott's sociological and economic research about firearms. I did, and now you can do it too. His effort is called the Crime Prevention Research Center, and it's on Indiegogo. We have a link to the Facebook page as well as to the Indiegogo link.
That wraps up another episode of the Polite Society Podcast. Until the weekend.
Stay safe.
Be aware.
And we'll see you down the road. For our YouTube listeners, I'd like to again mention our advertisers. That's ABN Surplus, Concealment Solutions, the New Jersey Second Amendment Society, and Gary, who else is it?
Firearm Safety Institute. Enter PSP in the next class registration for a $50 discount.
Gary, how far would people typically drive? I'm not sure how many classes might be in that area of Illinois. Within maybe a 100-mile radius, 150?
How far have people come?
Yeah.
Well, in 2 weeks, Paul is coming from South Dakota.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, Paul will be joining us on the 28th and 29th for that class. But there's over 2,000 instructors in the state. I don't think you would have to travel too far. It just
you can find one that matches your. You can find one that matches your schedule and that's reasonably close by.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Rachel, did you have anything you wanted to say before we close out the show?
Just sorry my internet was not really with it on timing tonight. Hopefully next time I'm back on.
Yeah, you sound a little sketchy even now. I'm going to take us off the air. Thanks to our listeners. See you on the weekend.